lowest, greatest, highest, I will come to thee.
I am thankful for God and His wonderful Word He has given us, because it teaches us that when we are happy, sad, persecuted, or going through an extreme emotional roller coaster because of external forces, He is there for us. Hebrews 13 and verse 5 says, "Let your conduct be without covetousness. Be content with such things as you have, for He Himself has said, I will never leave you nor forsake you." So we may boldly say, "The Lord is my helper. I will not fear. What can man do to me?" When it comes to someone who is going through great distress, yet is able to keep their faith in God, I always think about Job. Even though Job lost all his children, his animals, and many of his servants, we see how much confidence he had in God even after his wife told him to curse God and die. And we can see this by looking at his response to his wife in Job 2 in verse number 10. "You speak as one of the foolish women speaks. Shall we indeed accept good from God, and shall we not accept adversity?" And all this Job did not sin with his lips. If Job could make it through the horrible events he had to experience, so can we. The next time you think you're having a bad day, think about Job and all that he went through and how he was blessed in the end because of his faithfulness. Now I want you to consider 1 Samuel 14 and verse number 6. "Then Jonathan said to the young man who bore his armor, Come, let us go to the garrison of these uncircumcised. It may be that the Lord will work for us. For nothing restrains the Lord from saving by many or by few." Jonathan's trust in the Lord gave him the courage and the strength to take on a garrison of men in which he killed about 25 men in half an acre. This is an impressive display of the faith that Jonathan had in the Lord. Think about Elijah in 1 Kings chapter 18, who was by himself, yet he found the courage to stand against 450 prophets of Baal to see who served the real God. If you read Elijah's encounter with these false prophets in 1 Kings chapter 18, you will see that the supposed God called Baal was silent. He would not answer the prayers and cries of his prophets. They tried all day long to get him to light the bull on fire. And Elijah told them that their God must be sleeping. But when Elijah cried out to God, He immediately caused the bull, the water that had been poured on it, and the rocks to be consumed. When the true God was revealed that day, the prophets of Baal were executed. Whether we are by ourselves or surrounded by others, God is always with us. Even when we face death, we can know that God will be there, as David wrote in Psalm 23 and verse 4. "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me." In the New Testament, Peter and John's trust in God gave them the courage to say the following as they faced the Jewish council. In Acts 4:19 it says, "Whether it is right in the sight of God to listen to you more than God, you judge. For we cannot but speak the things which we have seen and heard." Paul could encourage the men who were with him on the ship during a deadly storm because of his faith in God, as we read in Acts 27 and verse 22. "And now I urge you to take heart, for there will be no loss of life among you, but only the ship. For there stood by me this night an angel of the God to whom I belong and whom I serve, saying, Do not be afraid, Paul. You must be brought before Caesar. And indeed God has granted you all those who sail with you. Therefore take heart, men, for I believe God that it will be just as it was told me." Example after example could be given, but we can rest assured as Christians that no matter how rough the storms become in our lives, we can trust in God to see us through whatever we're going through. Sometimes we just have to learn to turn things over to God and trust in His providential care. As Paul wrote in Romans 8 and verse 28, "And we know that all things work together for good to those who love God, to those who are called according to His purpose." Knowing that God is on our side and is always there for us, morning, noon, or night, should cause us to always be thankful for Him, because we certainly don't deserve the attention that He gives us. So no matter what is happening to you, whether good or bad, never cease to be thankful for God Almighty.